I am Cookie Masterson, and this goat screams just like a human.
All right, here we go.
Okay, I'm pressing my left. I want big bucks. Come on, please, and stop.
Ever since I was young, I've loved game shows. All throughout my elementary and middle school years, I'd watch the Game Show Network and learn about shows from throughout the years, along with seeing what GSN could come up with in-house. One thing that I quickly learned is that a lot of game shows like to use trivia as one of their gameplay aspects. This certainly isn't bad. It's just a little too easy to write uninteresting questions. Many years later, around the same time I was making my first YouTube channel, I found this video about a game on the Wii called You Don't Know Jack, a video game styled after a game show that wasn't just a console version of an actual game show. Count me in. Oh wait, I don't have a Wii U. Wii U? It's a Wii. It's a Wii. Morrow. Count me in. Oh wait, I don't have a Wii. A few years later, I remember that Jack game I heard about and decided to do some research. Wait, there's a whole series of these released in the 90s? It was turned into an actual game show? I then proceeded to watch videos about all these old versions, and wow, did I really want to play these. It wasn't for about 4 years until I got my first Windows machine since 2011 that I was finally able to play these games for myself. This is a decently popular series, to the point where a new version came out in the most recently released Jackbox Party Pack as of making this video. At first, it may seem like a simple trivia party game, but if you're actually thinking that, you don't know Jack. These games have some intricacies to where just knowing loads of useless facts won't help you. But first, quick gameplay explanation for those unfamiliar. Buzz in if you know the answer, and use the 1, 2, 3, 4 keys to choose. Okay, that's all. That is, if you can even figure out what the question is asking you.
Never mix Coke and objectivism.
Wait, what?
Okay, get your fingers ready, let's get busy. How might a drug dealer use the philosophy of Ayn Rand to defend his career choice? Got my rational self-interest to think about. Man, I'm just giving people what they want. Pharmaceutical rackets need competition. Or I keep the folks high so they won't revolt.
I have no idea. Yeah, no, just not gonna answer.
Okay, show it.
Look, officer, I got my rational self-interest to think about here.
Well, okay then, you're free to go.
Ayn Rand promoted objectivism, a form of capitalism that encourages people to live for themselves.
Yep, I had no idea. This is what's called twisted trivia, where pop culture references are thrown into the question to try and trip up the player. Or sometimes you may need to know something about regular trivia and pop culture in order to answer the question.
Okay, stop me if you've heard this one before. Colonel Sanders, Vinnie Barbarino, and Popeye walk into a bar. The bartender says, "I'm sorry, but we don't serve barbate people here." Who has to leave? The Colonel, Vinnie Barbarino, Popeye, or all three of them?
Okay, so it's essentially asking about what it means to be barbate. Which I have no idea.
Here's what you should have picked. Barbate people, like the Colonel, have beards. Needless to say, Santa Claus and ZZ Top are forced to celebrate happy hour elsewhere.
It may feel overwhelming at first, especially if it's about 90s pop culture and you were born at the end of the decade, but this is the heart and soul of You Don't Know Jack. Wild questions that require you to know about the Brady Bunch may not age well due to being not mainstream knowledge anymore. Questions that incorporate pop culture to disguise it from being a standard trivia question feel like the sweet spot.
Bootyful. Let's analyze one of Kim Kardashian's body parts.
Oh, please, no.
About what percentage of Kim Kardashian's brain is just made up of water? 10%, 40%, 80%, or 100%?
As in these situations, actually knowing about the pop culture reference is completely superfluous because you're racking your brain as to how much of it is made of water and trying not to think about Kim Kardashian. These games do let you play alone, but it's best experienced with at least one other person. This is partly because a new mechanic gets thrown into the mix, screwing your neighbor. God, that sounds really sexual. Think they don't know the answer? Buzz in and screw them, because now they gotta answer. This makes multiplayer games especially tense, as you're having to focus not just on figuring out the answer, but also gauging if the other person or people you're playing with are even paying attention. Most Jack games just have the screw that forces someone to answer, but in Volume 4, The Ride, which is my personal favorite of the original PC games, things were taken one step further with flakjack-style screwing. You don't just press the S key once, you mash that sucker till you've run dry, as you're given a whole load of screws to blow, which you shoot into the question and answers. If you buzz in early enough without having the host get ticked off at you, then screw someone, that puts even more pressure on them, as if they aren't a speed reader, it just becomes a 1 in 4 guessing game. I would also consider the screws from Full Stream as being an altered version of flakjack screws, as they make things harder for everyone to answer, just like shooting the screws into the screen in The Ride. Probably my favorite part of the Jack games are all the interesting question types. There's a Dis or Dat, which was introduced in Volume 2, where you're shown a list of 7 items one at a time, and must determine if it falls into one category or another, or sometimes both or neither. Some of these are just downright absurd.
I'm gonna read off 7 phrases, and for each, I want you to tell me if it's Donald Trump's 11-step formula for business success from The Art of the Deal, or advice from WebMD on how to prevent bedwetting. I'm going to read off 7 things, and for each one, you tell me if it's an alleged antic by pop star Justin Bieber, or an antic by the classic children's book character Curious George. I'm going to read off 7 things, and for each one, I want you to tell me if it's a song by Kanye West, or a brand of almond milk.
There's also the ticklish gibberish question, which tasks the player with figuring out what popular phrase the nonsensical phrase shown on screen rhymes with. These are especially fun to see people struggle with.
First clue, it's something your mother told you. You'll go to your room, you brat. It's something your mother told you when you wanted something expensive. Last clue, where does all... You want it, you got it, type in your...
Volume 4 has some of its own question types as well. In Roadkill, 2 items are shown on screen, which are somehow linked to each other, and the player must buzz in when the correct connector is shown in the center of the screen. The real twist comes at this question's end.
Alright, let's go for the bonus! What do all the correct answers have in common?
This can really catch you off guard hard when shown for the first time. But I just spoiled the surprise for you, yay! But also, having to keep track of all the correct connections while having to concentrate on the one currently shown is a true test of one's working memory. There's also Bingo.
Bingo.
There was a man with Roman hands and slaps her what he got. O-R-O-M-A-N, R-O-M-A-N, R-O-M-A-N, and now he's black and blue. Oh.
Here, you're shown a hint and must buzz in when the first letter of the answer lights up. Doing so earns you money, and you collect that letter. And collecting all 5 letters before all the hints get exhausted earns you a bonus.
Roman! You got the bonus!
So as this is supposed to be like an actual game show, it's gotta have one more thing. An intense end game. What's going on here? Hello? Hello? What? Oh, yeah, that's right. There is a final round. Well, perfect ambiance to talk about it, with the power being out and all. And also for those who are about to comment on it. The reason why my computer can still be powered on when the power is out is because it's on a UPS. Anywho, here's the attack. In this final round, you must buzz in when the item in the center matches with whatever is currently shown around it. However, not any old pair is necessarily a match, as they must fit in with that attack's clue.
Your match better fit this clue.
This is the round that usually decides the game, which I would complain about, but game-deciding final rounds are a trope with many actual game shows, which this game is trying to emulate, so it fits pretty well actually. Attacks, most of the time, are one of 3 things. Fairly easy, decently challenging, or have you going, I don't know any of this, what is even going on? Ah, there we go. I think what I've been trying to get at with this video is saying that You Don't Know Jack helps to make the know-it-alls of friend groups feel a lot dumber than they actually are, thanks to the twisted trivia, along with giving players who may not know as much a fighting chance thanks to the screws, all the while introducing question types that appeal to everyone. Now, this balancing may not be perfect all the time, but it helps to make players like myself, who may not know as much, feel more comfortable playing a round or two with those that are more knowledgeable, because you get to watch them squirm in their seat, desperately trying to figure out what the heck they're being asked. And if you think I have a clever ending for this video, then...